All right, Shalom, all praises due to Yah. In today's lesson, I'm going to go over Genesis the 49th chapter. I'm not going to break down the whole chapter yet. I'm just going to give you like a brief overview to show you on how foolish, just by reading the context of the whole chapter, on why that 12 tribe chart that's being circulated all throughout Israel amongst the different One West camps is totally off. And they don't even correlate with other precepts all throughout the scriptures. Because when you go back and read Genesis the 49th chapter, and you use some type of common sense, in which most of these One West camps don't have any common sense. The majority of them cats are gone. The majority of them cats are stupid. They don't have any common sense. They don't know how to read between the lines. So all the false claims that they're asserting in regards of that false chart that's being circulated all throughout these different camps and as well as different parts around the world, you're going to find out based upon different precepts, and that's totally off. So hold on. Now over here, we got the fake chart that's being perpetrated and pushed all throughout these different groups that come out of the school of thought of One West. And as you can see, the majority of the people on the chart are Eurasians. The majority of the people on the chart are Mongoloid, Siberian, white, European, Neanderthal, looking like Hispanics and Native American Indians. From the Dominicans all the way down to the so-called Mexicans. And as you can see, anytime they're talking about the Northern Kingdom, they never talk about the Afro-Latinos who are located and scattered all throughout these different regions. The number one priority, the main purpose, are the Eurasians. Those pale-skinned, buttermilk complexion that they have running around all throughout their groups and their congregations. So based upon that lie, they're all saying that in the latter days, or in the time that we're living in right now, all Israel will only be scattered all throughout the Americas, which is one of the main reasons why this false chart is circulating amongst all these different groups. But we're going to go in the scriptures and show you if Israel in the latter days is only going to be scattered and located in one particular geographical location. We're going to show you that that chart is way off and it does not correlate with Genesis the 49th chapter. So I'm about to switch up right now. All right. Let me see if I can zoom in. Because remember, they're saying that all the tribes are going to be scattered in the Western Hemisphere in one particular location. But when you read Deuteronomy 28 and 64, one of the curses that came upon Israel, that came upon us, and by the way, who are the real Israelites? The real Israelites are you so-called Negroes. Scattered throughout North, South, Central America, all you Negroes among the Igbos, the Ashanti, the Iwi, the Fulani, and so on and so forth, scattered in West Africa and all throughout the four corners of the earth. So one of the curses that will come upon us for disobeying and not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Creator was the Most High was going to scatter us all over the world. So Deuteronomy 28:64 reads, "And Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone." So one of the curses that came upon Israel is that we will be scattered all over the world. But according to that chart over here, all these different groups who fall in the auspices of Ariyah, they're all saying that Israel will only be scattered in the Western Hemisphere, here in the Americas. I'm going to go to Isaiah 11 and 12. And it says, and it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people. We shall be left from where? From Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamat, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from where? From the four corners of the earth. But according to the chart right here, these different congregations and groups are saying that Israel will only be scattered in the Americas, when all the different biblical verses saying something totally different. Well, you want to continue to follow a lie, right? Let's continue on. Hosea 8. Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles, as a vessel wherein there is no pleasure. Hosea 8 is also letting us know that Israel was going to be scattered amongst the other nations. Jeremiah 30:11. For I am with thee, said Yahweh, to save thee. Though I will make a full end of all the nations, whither I have what? Scattered thee. Yet I will not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee and measure, and I will not leave thee altogether unpunished. Jeremiah 31:10. Hear the word of Yahweh, O ye nations, and declare it in the isle afar off, and say, he that scattered who? Israel will gather him, and keep him as a shepherd doth his flock. So Jeremiah 30:11 and 31:10. Another precept, or two other precepts, totally contrary to the fake 12-trap chart that's been circulated all over these different congregations and camps, showing to you that Israel was going to be scattered all throughout the four corners of the earth. But he's still following after all these different falsehoods. Ezekiel 28:25. Thus said Yahweh thy power, when I shall have gathered the house of Israel from the people among whom they are what? Scattered, and shall be sanctified in them in the sight of the heathen. Then shall they dwell in the land that I have given to my servant Jacob. Joel 3:2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the nations and parted my land. Joel 3:2 and Ezekiel is backing up all the other precepts that I read so far that totally goes contrary against that fake ass chart that all these men have been promoting since when? The 1980s, going back to the old One West. This chart is not accurate. And I haven't even gone over the breakdown of the chart or Genesis the 49th chapter yet, which I'm going to do in future videos. I just want to go to a brief overview for now. I'm going to go back. Let's see. Hold on. All right, I'm almost done. Zechariah 1:19. And I said unto the angel that I took with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. Another account showing you that Israel, all 12 tribes, were going to be scattered all throughout the four corners of the earth. So let's go to Matthew 26 and 31. And it says, Then say Yahushua unto them, all ye shall be offended because of me this night, for it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered where abroad. So based upon all these different precepts that I just read, it totally kills the arguments in regards of that chart, especially in dealing with these Hispanics and Native Americans who are listed on that chart, running around perpetrating this fraud that they're our people. They're not our people. They are not Israelites. They will never be Israelites. They're not part of the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. That's a lie and a falsehood. All these niggas got nothing but self-hatred. There's a reason why they want to bring in all these different Neanderthals and Denisovans and all these different GMOs, all these dogs and animals into the nations. You see that? The chart is totally way off. So now, hold on. I'm going to go to Genesis, the 49th chapter. I'm not going to break it down, but I'm going to show you, based upon the readings of Genesis 49th chapter, how the chart is way off. Because keep in mind that all these different camps out there are saying that these tribes will be located in the Western Hemisphere, and they will be located in all these different locations, all these different land masses. That's what all of them are saying. What we're going to see if Genesis 49 chapter is dealing with geographical location and the landmass. Genesis 49 and 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall in the last days. Now right away, they start reading the verse 1 and dealing with the last days, and then all of the oppression as he's talking about at the time that we're currently living in right now. We're going to look up the meaning of the word days. Over here, I got the Brown, Driver, Briggs, Hebrew, and English lexicon. We're going to look at number 3117. And we're going to see if the last days is always referring to the time that we currently live in right now. Because they're trying to utilize that to say that's where all the tribes will be located at in the times that we currently live in. Yawam, 3117. It has many different meanings. But when I make the video in regards of the breakdowns of the tribes, I'm going to go over a few other precepts, but I'm gonna just show you something right now. Over here, it says day as division of time, working day. It means a day or a journey. It can also go into 3 days. It doesn't necessarily talking about the last days or the time that we live in. I'm going to another one over here. And it says the day of Yahweh, chiefly as time of his coming in judgment, involving often the sickness for righteousness. So that also could be talking about the latter days or the time that will come in the near future. But you got to read the whole chapter in context so you can find out which definition applies to the whole chapter. Over here it says, but there shall be one day, known shall it be, of not day nor night. Over here it says days of anyone. It says days of anyone, his life, his age. It could be any days. So when you read Genesis 49:1, when it speaks about the last days, you're going to find out that it was talking about during the time of Israel at that particular time. You're going to find out that all these different statements that were made in Genesis 49 chapter already came to pass. I'm going to jump down. It says, one hard of day, whose day was hard, of the life as approaching its end. I'm going to definition number 5. It says days, indefinitely some days, or a few days. You see, so the last days represents some days, and it also represents a few days. And it also represents any days. You see? I'm going to go to another one. It says days of old, former or ancient times. Days of old. It could also apply to that because some of those statements that were made in Genesis 49 chapter, when you link up all the different precepts, already happened prior. Especially in dealing with Reuben and Simeon and Levi. Let's see. I'm going to go to another definition, and it says from year to year, yearly. It says from year to year, yearly. And that's not talking about the times that we currently live in. You see? Let me see if there's another one. Yeah, over here. It says day by day. And all these different meanings and dealing with the day by day, year by year, it's all in correlation with Genesis 49 chapter. Let me see. Here goes another one. From day to day, from this day forth, from that day forward, from this day onward, until now, many days after a time. And I guess that's it on that. So as you can see, all the different meanings that I just read in terms from day to day, from this day forward, from that day forward, day by day, and so on and so forth, they all correlate with Genesis, the 49th chapter. And as well as all the different scriptures that I showed y'all, showing you where all the tribes will be scattered at in the last days. They will be scattered all over the world, not in one particular geographical location. Now, like I said, keep in mind that all these camps are saying that these tribes will be scattered only here in the Americas, in one location, in all these different land masses. I'm not going to go over the breakdown of it with the precepts. I'm just going to show you something. And it says, Genesis 40:93, Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power, unstable as water. Thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, and if followest thou it, he went up to my couch. So as you can see, when you read what will happen to Reuben, you notice on how a location or a landmass or a geographical location is not mentioned there. But according to their chart, they're saying that Reubens and Seminole Indians, and it means that they will be located down in South Florida, here in the Western Hemisphere. So that's a lie. Let's go to the next one. It says, verse 5, Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. O my soul, come not thou into their secret, unto their assembly. Mine honor, be not thou united. For their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall. So they trying to say that Simeon and Levi represents the island of Hispaniola, the Dominicans, and the quote-unquote Haitians. And this is where they'll be located at in the last days. When you read the prophecy on Simeon and Levi, and when you read the statement in regards to Simeon and Levi, it don't mention any locations or landmass where they will be located at. So that's another lie in regards of that fake ass chart that's been circulated all over these different camps in Israel. I'm going to jump down to verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion. And as an old lion, who shall rise him up? Location is not mentioned in regards of Judah. Y'all saying that Judah are the so-called Black Americans that will be located in the United States of America. But when you read the statement in regards of Judah, it don't mention any landmass or any geographical location. But you want to have us believe that the 12 tribe chart is 100% accurate, which I used to follow and fall in the auspices of that false line, because I came up under the teaching of One West. But by further examining the scripture, I found out that the 12 tribe chart was totally wrong, and Hispanics and Latinos are not Israelites, but they are enemies. The majority of them are descendants of either Asians or white devils, man. Period. They are not our people. I'm going to go to verse 10. It says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be, biting his foal unto the vine, and his ass colt unto the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. I'm going to go to Zebulon. Zebulon shall dwell in a haven of the sea, and he shall be for an heaven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. So I'm going to give you that one. The only tribe that's being in reference in terms of a landmass was the tribe of Zebulon. But when you start reading the rest of the other tribes, they're not being described as being located at a particular location in the latter days. You see that? I'm going to go to Issachar. And they also saying that Zebulon are the Mongoloids, Eurasians from Guatemala all the way to Panama. Okay. I'm going to go to Issachar, and it says, Issachar is a strong ass couching down between two burdens, and he saw rest was good, and the land that he was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. So now, when you go back and study Issachar, it also says over here that the land was pleasant. Okay, land is being in reference of Zebulon and Issachar. But what about the rest of the other tribes? What about Judah, Levi, Simeon, Reuben? And what about the tribe of Dan? They don't mention anything about Dan being located at a particular geographical location. And they saying that the Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, when you go back and which I'm going to do a video about it sometime in the near future, if it be the Lord willing, you're going to find out that Issachar is not the so-called Eurasians, Mexicans. When you link up the scriptures and all the other precepts, you're going to get the better understanding of it. It has absolutely nothing to do with Mexicans. And it says, Dan shall be a servant by the way, an adder and a pat, thy biteth the horse's heel, so that his rider shall fall backward, have waited for thy salvation. And again, There's no location being in reference of the tribe of Dan. It says, in regards of Gad, Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. And again, you saying that Gad are the Eurasians, Asian-looking Native American Indians of North America, but I don't see any landmass or geographical location being mentioned. Out of Asher his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. Now you're saying that Asher are the Mongoloids, Eurasians of Colombia to Uruguay. The location and landmass is not mentioned in regards of Asher. Let's read about Naphtali. Naphtali is a hind let loose. He giveth goodly words. Y'all saying Naphtali are the Mongoloids and Eurasians from Argentina and Chile, but landmass is not being mentioned in regards of Naphtali. Joseph is a fruitful bull, even a fruitful bull by the well, whose branches run over the wall. The archers have sorely grieved him, and shot at him, and hated him, but his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the Almighty God of Jacob. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Yasha'al, even by God of thy father, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with blessings of heavens above, blessings of the deep that light under the blessings of the breast and of the womb. Verse 26, the blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors, unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and from the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brethren. So in regards of Joseph, which you cats are running around saying that he's being in reference of the Spaniard looking as Puerto Ricans and Cubans, you saying that they're going to be located on the island of Puerto Rico and Cuba in the latter days. But when you read in regards of Joseph, it don't mention anything in regards of them being located at a particular location or a landmass in the last days. You see that? I'm going to go to Benjamin. It says, Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall divide the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. Yeah, I'm saying that Benjamin represents the West Indians of the Caribbean Isle. And he's also saying that he's dealing with reggae. It's dealing with all the revolutionary music of Benjamin. But when you go back and read it for yourself, landmass is not even mentioned in regards to that particular location. You see? And all these are the 12 tribes of Israel. And this is it that their fathers spake. All right, so that's it on that. So as you can see, without going to all the different precepts to give the proper understanding and the proper breakdown of Genesis 49 chapter, you could clearly go to the different precepts showing that Israel is scattered all over the world in the midst of the other nations and the Gentiles, and they're not concentrated in one particular geographical location. That's a lie and a falsehood by all these different groups and camps out there. And eventually, I'm going to make a video when I'm going to go over all the tribes, and I'm going to use precepts and scriptures to prove to you that it's not talking about, it's definitely not talking about these Mongoloids. All these different GMOs you got on this chart over here. You hardly have any pigmentation on their skin. You got stringy doggy hair. You're more accessible to catch melanoma cancer, and as well as lice all throughout their skulls. But you want to run around and give them our culture and our heritage. So with that, I'm signing out, and I say shalom.